Hey, what's up? What's up? Alright. Really? 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 They gonna put... Bro. They're gonna push back Jaron Ennis in the WBC rankings for a Keith Thurman mandatory? What the? Yo, Mauricio Suleiman. What's... Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my gosh. Look, you know, Jaron Boots Ennis out of Salida, aka Salida, then PBC. I'm pretty sure he now on Showtime, PBC, something like that. Is being pushed back. First of all, this dude has been knocking everybody out. Knocked out Thomas Delorme in 1 round. Knocked out Sergey Lipinets in 6 rounds. Knocked out Custio Clay in 2 rounds. Well, made Chris Van Aerde go to the hospital, and everything. 29 wins, 27 knockouts. Like, this dude hits hard, and his resume is starting to come together. My issue is a fighter that's as inactive as a Keith Thurman is seriously getting an opportunity and being pushed ahead of another fighter even after not having a fight. He recently was just pushed ahead. What is Mauricio Suleiman doing? There's a lot of corruption in this sport. There is a lot of corruption in the sport. And a lot of this corruption, you could just pay some money to get put up in the rankings. That's just really how the sport works. You know, Paulo Malignaggi said it himself. You know, a single phone call could make you move up in the rankings to be in line for a title shot. Just good management. Because if you don't got a good manager, you're probably never going to get a fight. You can be good as much as you want, but if you never sign to anyone, you're probably not going to get that many good fights. And as for Jaron Boots Ennis' resume, despite his resume, he was still put on those WBC rankings, and he was still taken off. Keith Thurman is a fighter who was seen as the best at 147, I think. Well, he was seen as the second best compared to Errol Spence, I'm pretty sure, before he lost to Manny Pacquiao due to constant injuries and stuff. So while he was having those injuries and being on break from fighting, Errol Spence was taking over the boxing game and taking over his place. Then the second he came back, he fought Josecito Lopez to a majority decision. That fight was not a majority decision, in my opinion. That was a unanimous decision for Josecito Lopez. I'm joking. But that was a unanimous decision for Keith Thurman. I don't think that fight was that close. I'm surprised that fight was seen as that close too. But on the other hand, then he fights Manny Pacquiao, right? He fights Manny Pacquiao, loses a split decision to that fighter, and loses his WBA Super World Welter title. Then is inactive for almost 3 years. Basically, he's inactive for almost 3 years. And when is he gonna fight next? When is his next fight gonna be? Is he even gonna fight this year? He's a pretty inactive fighter. He used to be more active, but he doesn't really fight that much no more. He doesn't. He's a pretty inactive fighter, despite how good he was and the fact that he was an elite talent in the first place. And that's mad disappointing. He's serious talent. You know, back in 2015, he dominated Robert Guerrero, dominated Luis Collazo, beat Sean Porter, beat the undefeated at the time, Danny Garcia. And he was seen as, you know, the big stuff at that point, you know, just from the lose to Manny Pacquiao. And the worst thing about this fight, too, was that after he lost, he fell off the face of the earth. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. He essentially fell off the face of the earth after that one loss. One loss shouldn't do that much to you, but he just hadn't fought. He was completely out of the talk. He was erased from boxing. If he was still undefeated, he would still be talked about, but he was erased from boxing, man. Erased from boxing as a whole. Then he just recently comes back, and he gets a shot over a prospect in Jaron Ennis, who has knocked out many opponents, who's knocked out a Thomas Delorme, who hasn't been knocked out in a long time. You know, he hadn't been knocked out since like 2015. So what does that really tell you? Like, even before that fight, he had a competitive fight with Stanionis, had a competitive fight with Jamal James, beat Terrell Williams, who beat that Pritchard Colin guy who unfortunately suffered brain injuries over Terrell Williams being an asshole. had a close matchup with Yordanis Ugas. Not really that close, but had a pretty little competitive fight with Terrence Crawford. Like, I understand that was a long time ago when that happened, but even as of recently, he still had close decisions with these fighters. And then he knocks out Custio Clay in 2 rounds, who had a draw with Sergey Lipinets, who gave Mikey Garcia a good fight and a good run for his money in terms of opposition. And despite Mikey Garcia's boxing skills and power punching and stuff, he was no match for Jaron Ennis. Ennis showed him true power. Mikey Garcia is a hard hitter at lower weight classes, but Jaron Ennis really knocked him out, and that was a really, a statement that was being said. Then he, afterwards, after that Mikey Garcia thing, he beat Lamont Peterson at 147, who was currently retired. Really though, I just find it interesting. I just find it very interesting. Boxing is always a mixed bag of random politics and stuff, but as much as I could say that, the biggest problem that I have is how people willingly just move people up and down in the WBC rankings. It's like, woo, 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 after being inactive for long periods of time. And even in sudden instances, just for the sake of a fight or a matchup. Instead of following their own rules, they'd willingly break their own rules for exception if it benefits them in their own way. And as for Ennis, who's a prospect at 147, who is he going to fight next? Actually? I think he should fight. I personally think he should fight Gary Antoine Russell, but Gary Antoine Russell is reigning at 140 right now. He ain't got no time for that bigger weight class stuff. He's trying to, dominate in his weight class. So and even too, Terrence Crawford too. Terrence Crawford even said, in the future, he probably would give Jaron Ennis a fight. He'd give him, an opportunity to show himself against the big dogs, which is great. It shows how much of a dog Terrence Crawford is as a fighter. Not everybody has that much dog in him. Like, in my opinion, Errol Spence is treating Jaron Ennis like how Keith Thurman treated him. The cycle continued. Like, Errol Spence was calling for that Keith Thurman fight. Keith Thurman made millions of excuses back then. He was like, nah, he's too small. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. He's not vaccinated, like Charlo or some shit. I actually cannot believe that Charlo really made that excuse of he's not vaccinated. Fight me when you're vaccinated? What? Bro, fight me when you're vaccinated. Are you serious? Fight me when you're vaccinated? Come on. And Jaron Ennis is 25. He's 25 like Conor Benn. They're both the same age. Roger Ortiz is 24. An older prospect is Rashidi Ellis, who's 29. People say he looks like Adrian Broner. He looks pretty good. So I wonder if they're ever going to fight each other. Are any of these prospects going to fight each other? I'm aware Conor Benn is trying to fight Chris Eubank Jr., which may ruin his career, actually. It may actually ruin his career. That I think, like, if that fight happens and he boosts himself up to 154 as a super welter and he comes back down, it may sabotage his career to an extent and may ruin him. But I digress. It might actually not. It might just keep him, at a steady pace. I hope so, because I assume after he wins, if he wins, because I think he's gonna win that fight. I think he will win that fight. I think if he does win that fight, I'm sure of it, he's gonna go back down and still keep fighting for titles. Because I think some of the 147 competition is going to be more difficult than a Chris Eubank, because Chris Eubank will not have the speed advantage. He's not going to have the skill advantage. He definitely isn't against these top 147 pounders, especially in this division. Not only do I believe that smaller fighters are more skilled than bigger fighters in a lot of occasions, but I also do believe like this division, especially because Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, these guys are very skilled fighters, very skilled and very talented fighters. And really, I don't think Eubank has the intelligence or the skills of any of those fighters, of any of those top fighters in this division, even Keith Thurman, despite his size difference. And plus, he's going to be drained too. He's going to be drained. And if he's drained, it's going to be even more competitive and more 50-50, because he's not going to have that hydrated advantage. He's not going to be at his best. And he's going to be a little sloppy to make the fight more fair. But to get back on topic, this is really disappointing because Jaron Ennis should get a shot. He should definitely get a shot. He should get a shot. He should get a shot. He's seen as more of a threat than Keith Thurman currently, despite his lack of resume. People theorize that he's going to dominate this division and maybe even dominate those two fighters. People even say that WBC is making this on purpose to duck, But even still, let me know in the comment section your opinions. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. All right, bye.